Hey guys, don't mind the decorations. It's wife's decorations. She likes to decorate all the time. This is the fall decorations, and pretty soon we'll have the Christmas decorations up. I learned two words when I got married. Yes, ma'am. That's right. Now I'm challenging. This is a challenge. Every person on YouTube that sees this video that's a veteran, or you said you're a veteran, or you say, yeah, I was in the military and did this overseas, or I did this. Show your DD 214 and let's back it up. This is a challenge. This isn't to anyone in particular, but it's just all this talk now, people throwing back and forth, and this one's a vet and that one's not, and this one, did this and this. And I just felt um, inspired and motivated to get DD 214. Um, because I'm proud of my service. I'm proud of what I did. Um, and so, Master Sergeant retired. He really went all out, and he gave me a lot of information. And I said, "Oh, now I know where to get one." Now I have an original DD 214. What happened was this is a brand new manufactured home, and we moved the old manufactured home out. It was really old, like it was falling apart because it was from the 70s. I bought it when I got out of the Army. But we moved the old manufactured home out finally and moved this brand new one in. And when you move homes, everything gets boxed up. Boxes and bags and foot lockers. And my DD214 was in a folder with my military certificates, some of my college transcripts, police academy certificate that I have, which I've showed here. All of that stuff in the folder was put in one of the boxes, bags, or foot lockers. So it's somewhere in my shed. And I said, well, I'm going to find it. So instead, what I did was that envelope. So I thank you to Master Sergeant retired Master Sergeant here on YouTube, um, for he gave me the the clue to look for National Personnel Records Center. So I went to National Personnel Records Center. I ordered my DD 214, a copy of it from my actual personnel records, which I guess are held in a headquarters somewhere in St. Louis, Missouri. And it was free. Didn't cost me a dime. Didn't cost me stamps. Didn't nothing. What it cost me was going online and filling out a thing and hitting enter. And I think it took about between 3 and 5 weeks to get it. I asked for a copy of my DD214. They went above and beyond. They gave me 2 copies. How about that? They gave me 2 copies of my DD214. Now I'm going to blank my last name out here, although everybody probably knows it. I'm going to blank it out anyway. And I'm going to blank out my social security number, although if you want to look for it, it is public information, but I'm not going to show it here. So you know me as Jimmy, James Allen. There you go, Jimmy. And you're going to have to stop pause if you want to read it, because I'm just going to scroll it up here. And it's my DD214. I am going to go over it with you, but there it is. If you want to scroll stop, you want to hit pause and read it. But here we go. So, but I challenge everybody. If you're going to say you're a veteran on here, put up or shut up, right? I was just inspired to do this, and I think it's cool. But I'm proud of my service. I am so proud of what I did in the Army. So I was in the United States Army. I attained the rank of sergeant in 15 years. Yeah, there's 2 reasons for that. One, when I first went in the Army, I was young, dumb, and full of beer. I just didn't, I was just one of those party soldiers, those young privates that just would care more about drinking beer and whatnot than, trying to advance your career. When I realized I wanted to make a career out of the Army, I started going to college, but I was already close to being a sergeant at that time even. And also, the field that I was in was slow on promotions. It wasn't like the infantry or combat arms, sort of the artillery, scouts, those guys, boom, 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 just moving up. I was in the Signal Corps, communications. And to get to sergeant, staff sergeant, you had to meet certain points. You know, I missed staff sergeant by like 2 college courses, point wise. I was so pissed, man. And at that time, uh, I got reboarded. I went to another board, and one of the first sergeants kind of screwed me. He didn't like me, so he gave me really low points, while all the other ones gave me really high points. I should have appealed that. But again, I missed promotion to E6. Then my dad died. My mother was having health issues with her kidneys and whatnot. I don't know. I just lost it. You know, I lost the momentum to keep going in the Army, and I was like, this is stupid, man. And the sergeant major wanted me to go to the board again. He goes, hey, one more time, give it a shot. Let's go to the promotion board. Let's get you promoted. And they came up with this thing. I was about to hit my 15-year mark. And they said, if you don't make E6 or staff sergeant in the 15-year mark, it's up or out. You either take a payout or you get promoted. I took the $25,000 payout. That's how I originally bought this manufactured home. And I wish I would have got promoted instead and moved up. But again, I just wasn't real serious about advancing my career as much as I was just having fun being in the Army, you know. But to make sergeant, to make staff sergeant, you had to meet certain points, and I wasn't doing what I needed to do to get those points accumulated. So when I was ready, I would boom hit those points and get promoted. That's how I got to sergeant, by the way. I made the points because of some of the college that I took. So I digress. So I was a sergeant, yes. That explains why I was a sergeant for so long. 1980, September of 1984, September 18th, 1984, I went in the Army on my dad's birthday. How about that? I separated September 30th, 1999. See, it was 15 years. That's what they say, 15 years. And on my Army lapel button, or decorations and so forth, my Army lapel button, I have Army Commendation Medal, Army Good Conduct Medal, 4th Award. By the way, the Good Conduct Medal, you get that if you do really good at a field exercise. You come back and your platoon sergeant puts you in for a good conduct. So I don't know, but Army Commendation, I did get 1 Army Commendation Medal. That was from my battalion commander. Believe that? Army Good Conduct 4th Award, National Defense Service Medal. I was in Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm, which, if I was in from 1984 to 1999, I was in during Operation Desert Shield, Desert Storm. So I have that. Non-commissioned officers professional development ribbon with numeral 2, because I went to PLDC and NCO course. NCODC, I forget. PLDC was Primary Leadership Development Course. I went to that as an E4. When I was a sergeant, they sent me to the NCO, or Non-Commissioned Officers Development Course. Yeah, I think NCODC, if I recall. Memory's going. But I had 2 development courses that I went to. So I had a number 2 on my Non-Commissioned Officers Professional Development ribbon. Army Service Ribbon, you get that when you graduate your school. I went to AIT, they call it Advanced Individual Training. And so I had the Army Service Ribbon. Had the Overseas Service Ribbon 2nd Award, because I was in Germany twice. First, I was in Höchst, Frankfurt, or Frankfurt Höchst is what it's called. It's a little town, suburb of Frankfurt. So you would have like Los Angeles, you would have like Burbank and Hollywood and Studio City. In Frankfurt, they had all these different suburbs, and one of them was Höchst, which, by the way, was a big pharmaceutical company. What was it called? I forget now, but it was located in Höchst. Then the second time I was in Darmstadt, which was A lot of people wanted to get that station. I digress. Sharpshooter marksman qualification badge with rifle bar. So I did make a sharpshooter. That's one shot, one kill. That means I hit 40 targets with 40 rounds. U.S. Army Basic Recruiter Badge with 3 stars. I hated recruiting. Oh my God. Yeah, I was an Army recruiter in Medford, Oregon. And by the way, for those of you who watch this that are in the military and you think, I'd like to be an Army recruiter, well, go down to a Toyota, Nissan, Ford, Dodge, or Chevrolet center, talk to the car salesman there, and see if you like what they do. Because that's what it is. Car sales. That's all it is. You're selling the Army to people. I mean, literally selling. So my military education in the United States Army is multi-channel communication systems equipment operator course, 14 weeks in 1985. Of course, if I went in September, I went to basic training, graduated, and then I went to my course, which I graduated that in 1985 because it was over the holidays and over the New Year and all that. But yeah, it's going to give me here. Okay, I see what it is. So, but the multi-channel communications operator, that's kind of like AT&T, if you will, or now they got Spectrum and Verizon. And so what it was is we'd raise these antennas, these dish, and then the colonel could talk over his radio driving through the exercise because of our dishes. You know, line of sight radio, that's what they call it, line of sight. And then they upgraded it to digital equipment, and then they upgraded it to like where the colonel now could have a mobile phone driving around, and we had new dishes, and it was just, they just kept upgrading the equipment, and it was crazy. It's kind of like the iPhone, you know, just boom, 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 upgrades all the time. But that's what I did. I was multi-channel communications, which is basically AT&T. How can I help you? You know, and it was funny because we had a lieutenant one day that came in, and or some his lieutenant was in his little headquarters van, and his system kept going out. And he called me up, and he goes, "Hey, the system that we're connected with you is going out. You better check your stuff." And I was sitting there awake, and I was like, "My stuff is good, sir." No, I think, you know what I think? I think I caught you falling asleep. You were asleep, weren't you? I said, "No, sir, I'm wide awake and my stuff is good." So my sergeant, my section sergeant, he went over there to check it out. He goes, "I'll check it out, man." And he went over there, and then he came back and he's laughing. And I go, "Sarge, my stuff is good." He goes, "Yeah. He told me that lieutenant had so many cables in the wrong connections that his stuff was like, you know, because there's little needles. And if the needle went down to a certain point, something was wrong with your system. That's how you troubleshot back then, little gauges. And he said his was like just all like, you know, crack. And he said, he told the lieutenant, you gotta fix, what are you doing with these cables?" He goes, "I know what I'm doing, Sergeant." "No, you don't." And he told, you know, he tells me, he told the lieutenant, "You get over there. I'm the sergeant. I'll do it." And he did all the cables, and all of a sudden the things went into the green. So I just thought I'd tell that story. So we had lieutenants that were, you know, nobody like, even my first sergeant would tell the lieutenants, "LT, get the hell out of my office or I will kick you the hell out of my office." And the lieutenants were like, "Excuse me, I'm an officer." "I don't care, I'm a first sergeant. Get your ass out of here." And they'd run it out of there. First sergeant didn't care. He was like, you don't mess with LT or with top sarge. Anyway, I digress. I'm sorry, I just love these stories. But I love that first sergeant too. First Sergeant Larry Smith, who's passed on lately. But greatest first sergeant I ever had, man. Larry Smith. Greatest first sergeant I ever had. Ever. Hands down. And lieutenants, he didn't care. "I don't care if you're a lieutenant. Get the hell out of my office." And even the company commander, who was a captain, would laugh and go, "Larry, you gotta go easy on my boys." I digress. But going on, yes, then the primary leadership development course, I went through that. It was 4 weeks long in 1989. Then I made sergeant and I had to go to the non-commissioned officer basic course. NCO BC, that's what it was. Non-commissioned officer basic course. And then, of course, they had the non-commissioned officer advanced course. I never made it to that one. But mine was 7 weeks in 1991. So see, 1990 or 1989, I was at Bragg. I was a corporal. And then in 1991, I think that was late 91 because I think I was at, was I at Fort Hood, right? No, I was at Fort Hood. Fort Washington. I think it was at Fort Lewis, Washington. I don't remember, man. I have brain. Anyway, then I went to Mobile Subscriber Equipment Transmission Systems Operator in 1992. That's when they took our analog equipment and made it digital. It was in 1992. They made all our stuff digital. The colonels got little phones that they could talk on, which they didn't know how to work. And so they were always pissed off that their phones weren't working. And, usually my platoon sergeant, who was an E7, would go, "Here, sir, I got this. Hold on." And he would do something to it and go, "We're good. Thank you. Yeah, it takes an E7 to fix it." Yeah, because officers. Anyway, I'm sorry. That's an NCO thing. Um, and then nothing follows. You go down. And of course, they talk about they did some matching verification through other agencies. Yeah, they do the FBI look and all that. Gold Achievement Star. I don't remember what that's for. But yeah, there you go. Separated out of Fort Hood, Texas. Fort Hood, Texas is where I was separated out of. So, and that was in 1999. My last duty assignment was Charlie Company 16th Signal Battalion, Fort Hood, Texas. If you want to look it up, if you want to test me, I'll give you the unit. Charlie Company 16th Signal Battalion out of Fort Hood, Texas. That was my final duty station. I had a great first sergeant there too. Now that I come to think of it, it was a female first sergeant. She was really cool. She was really cool. Yeah, she was something else. And my basic training captain was Captain Hood, who really believed in me and told me, you're going to do good in the Army. You're a good soldier, he would tell me. Because we would sit up late at night. Now, what happened in basic training, in basic training, you normally don't get to talk to the drill sergeants and all them like they're people. But we had a field exercise. It was our field exercise that you do before you graduate basic training. And so we're out there, and we had to do guard duty at night where you had to, if you heard the generator start going down, you had to run out there and fill it with fuel and then restart it, and so all the lights would come back on. So it was my turn to sit in the guard tent, and the captain walked in, Captain Hood, and he was sitting there, and he kind of looked at me, and he asked me a question. He goes, "Where are you from?" And I told him where I was from, and he goes, "Okay." Yeah, and we started talking, and we talked about hunting and fishing, and it was just I kept thinking, man, am I supposed to be talking to this guy? He's a captain. I'm just young private and basic training. And one of my drill sergeants, well, this happened. The generator started going down, so I had to run out and fill it with fuel and get it started again. And I came back, and the captain had walked out to do something, and the generator, the light started dimming, I was like, oh, man. So I fill it with fuel and everything. I hear the drill sergeant stumbling through the woods like, hey, get that thing going. Oh, here we go. Are we good? And he walks in the tent, and I'm sitting there, and he goes, "Man, you're on the ball. You're on the ball, man." And he sat down, and he's like, "Where are you from?" And I started talking to the drill sergeant. I was like, man, these guys are cool. In fact, it was when it was, I think 2 nights later, I was on duty. I was on that duty thing, and I did something. Maybe it was start the generator again. And I was going to go back in the tent, and this one drill sergeant came out and he put a brim of his brown round on my forehead, and he goes, he's like pushing me with it, and then he pushed me kind of hard, so my head bounced a little, and I went back and head butted that brown round, and he gave me a glare and then walked off into the woods. I thought he's either drunk or he's just stupid. I was going to use another word, but I won't. But anyway, I'm sorry, guys. It's so long of a video, but I just love talking about the military. I could talk about my army and military all night long. Guys, look, if you say you're in the military, we want to see your DD 214. Okay, where's it at? Here it is. DD form, I'm trying to see under it. DD form 214. To me, it's backwards. I hope it's not backwards to you guys. But there you go, DD 214 with raised seal. You can feel it. So that's a challenge that I'm issuing to all of you out there. Show, put up or shut up. There you go.